Okay, just trying to get things up and going again. Source. Video capture device. Okay, put that there. Okay. See if anyone even comes back. We'll see. If anyone's in here, just feel free to type a comment or something like that, just so I know if this is up and going. Okay. Like I said, if you're just joining in, just make sure to throw a comment or something like that, so I know that this is up and going before I do anything else. Yeah. I'm starting right back up because I my power went out, so I have to go off this stream link for right now. Just give it another second or two. Oh, I knew I was getting. I knew the bad weather was coming. I knew it. I heard it. I didn't know it was. I thought it was gonna happen at like a little later now, but it got really bad really quickly, and I'm just pretty annoyed. I mean, now I guess things happen for a reason, because even though I had the tech issues in the beginning, I wouldn't have been able to get this done beforehand. So this, I guess, just things happen for a reason somehow. But okay, if this is what we are going to have, then let me actually 1 second grab my Discord, share this with the Discord again, make sure. Okay, got that. Updated link. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so we're going to get started now. I have to start over again really quickly, so just bear with me really quick because the power went out. I have to just do this all again really quickly, so just really quickly do this. Q1. April, May, June. Q2. And then we got July, August, September. Q3. Bring that down. This is why also you save your work, because as you can see, this is what happens. Should have been saving my work. The last ones. Q4. Bring that down. Okay. So I got that. Let me then apply the rest. Do my lookups. Let me zoom in. Zoom in. Quarter there. Okay, to max lookups. There, and then there. Apply that to the rest. Let's call it up. Okay. Okay, so I'm all caught up now. Okay. Okay. So I know we're gonna have as many people, and I just this went horrifically. But I will definitely try to hopefully edit this out a little bit and try to make it as easy to follow as possible, because I don't like how this all went down. That's for sure. Let me go here. Just double checking a couple links. Make sure the links are okay. I'll leave that one open in case people go to that one and they're confused what's going on. This one. We're good there. Okay. So I think I'm going to get started. Okay, I think I'm good now. Go one more thing. Pulse over. Okay, cool. So let's get going now. So okay, so I got all my stuff here. The weather should be all good now. So I have everything I need. I have the revenue. The churn's all set. Expense all set. Now I could start putting this in, making my dashboard out of this. So there's gonna be a lot going on here. Okay, there's a lot of different lines, a lot of this. It's gonna look a bit messy, but we're gonna start labeling some of these right now, and then once we're done, we'll take the borders out because we won't need them. Okay, so in this first one right here, okay, and also with this as well, even if you start typing and you think it's gonna look a little iffy, it's not gonna look that good. Don't worry, because when we take the borders off, because there's no grid lines, it's gonna look just fine. So if you start typing, it starts extending out of the cell, don't worry about it. It'll all be good. So what we're gonna do for this one, this is gonna be our title. Okay. So all I'm gonna type for this one is our quarterly business report, and it's gonna be year 2023. Okay. We don't do anything with it yet. Also, you also feel free to change the font too if you want. To change the type of font you want or anything. I just like to use this one because I don't know, I just like it. So feel free to change it however you want as well. So we got this. I'm not gonna do anything with it yet. I'll leave it right here. I'll change this at the end, but at least we have our title there. This row right here is gonna be our headers for everything that we're gonna be doing. Okay, so this one's going to be extremely, extremely important. So what I'm going to do right now is in B5 right here, we're going to type in description. Okay. We're going to skip C5. And then in D5, we'll type Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. Now, this might have already been done and already set up, like the alignment and everything like that. But what I have here is anything that's text, I like to keep it all the way in the left alignment. And then anything like this, where it's kind of abbreviating or it's small, I want to keep middle. Okay? So there should be nothing in C5, but description in B5, and then Q1 to Q4, from D5 to G5. Okay? That's all we're going to do for right now, because we have to figure out how do we get this information over here. Now, we don't have as, unfortunately, because of the power here, we don't have as many people, so I don't know how the participation might go, but I want to involve the audience a little bit here. So with this, we have our information here. We need to show off a lot of stuff. We need to show off our revenue, our how much money we're losing, and our expenses. We have to get all that information basically right here. What are we going to use to do our calculations to get all this information. We want to know, for example, how much money we made each quarter. We want to know how much we lost each quarter. We want to know how much expenses we had for each quarter. What are we going to use to get that information? What do you think? It could be whatever you think is the best way to do this. Is it going to be a formula? Is it going to be something else? Like, how do you think pivot tables? So, okay, pivot tables. Now, why would you say, you're not wrong, but why would you say pivot tables? Like, why do you think pivot tables will probably be the best way to get our information as quickly and as efficiently as possible? Why do you think, in this case, pivot tables would be a good call? So, yeah. Good. Yeah, but that's the right answer. In this situation, yes, it's the right answer. Why do you think that would probably be the best answer in this situation? Clean, concise. Exactly. Yeah, clean, concise. It's very organized. And I think especially because we have categories, right? We're going to be using different categories here. We're trying to group data by a certain category. That's the best way to do it. Other ways we could have done it, we could have done like a sum if function, like if it's Q1 and this equal that. That would have taken forever, and that gets very time consuming. Issues could happen. You could type something wrong. Lots of things could go wrong, right? So yes, you're completely spot on. I completely agree with that. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna make pivot tables for all three of these. Now we're gonna do them in a certain way. We're gonna do them in a certain way just so we could kind of make it as simple as possible to bring it from the pivot table to the model. Okay? And I'm gonna actually ask this one question really quick. Why don't we just put the pivot tables like right here? Why are we going to be making like models like, you know, with text here, numbers go here? Why are we going to make it like this instead of just putting the pivot tables right there? If the information's right there, why don't we just put the pivot tables over there? Like, why are we going to do all this extra work? Why do you think that? If we're doing all that, we're getting all the answers, why don't we just put the pivot tables there? Why do you guys think that? And it's an opinion question. It's not a yes or no answer. It's more, why do you think we just don't put the pivot tables there? Why are we doing this? Clearly, exactly, yeah. So the whole point of this is just taking all of that extra stuff we don't need in the pivot table and leaving it there. We're just trying to pull certain numbers to the pivot table, right? That's exactly how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be clear, to the point, and we're supposed to basically see up top will be revenue, then it's going to be going how much money we made, and then how much we lost. It's like a flow. How much we made, how much we lost, how much we ended up with at the end, right? And exactly, pivot tables. Yeah, pivot tables like almost like running like a group by query in SQL. You know, you're pulling the queries together in SQL, and then with that you pull into this, right? That's exactly how it is. You're trying to show a flow of like, okay, how much money we made, and how did we lose it? What did we end up with? That's the whole point of this, is it goes this way down. So that's exactly right, and I really appreciate these answers. That's an extremely good answer. So let's get to this. Let's make our pivot table. We don't need our filters. Control-Shift-L, get rid of that. So in order to do the pivot table, we have to select the data we want. We're going to select all of this. You click into anywhere in here, anywhere you want. Control-A, Control-T. To, what's going on? What's going on in my Excel here? My Excel is all, oh no, is it? What's going on? Perfect, good. Yeah, and Jeff, that's a great point, and that's something I probably should put more context in. I don't know. Oh boy, I don't know what's going on here. 1 second, what's going on? Let's see. Oh, it went over. What the heck? It went to my other screen. I was like, what the heck is going on? 1 second. I was so confused of like, I'm like, what's going on? My create table is on my other screen. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Okay, so I got that. Okay. Like make it. I always like to make things tables. But yeah, so with this report, right? It's a little bit more like, I should say this is almost like an ad hoc report or something that is kind of concrete with the data. Because it's based off a previous year, this is almost like a recap of how the previous year went, right? Like, we're probably not going to be adding more to it. So this one's kind of more like, hey, like, how was, pretending this is almost like January of 2024. Okay, cool. We're meeting with our stakeholders next week for our annual meeting of how our business review went. Let's pull some numbers together, show how our performance was, right? This is kind of case where you probably don't need anything like too advanced to keep it going because there won't be any more inputs into it. But yes, using Power Query would be great, especially if we're going to be continuously adding to it. So Jeff, that's a great point. I appreciate you saying that for everyone. So now to add in the pivot table, go to Insert, Pivot Table. As it's asking us, okay, do we want to put it on a new worksheet or existing? I want to keep it all just on the same worksheet. I sometimes I like to do is I like to create separate sheets for the pivot tables, and I'll put like multiple tables on it to keep things organized on one thing. But I want to keep the table associated with the data it's coming from. So I'm going to click existing, and I'm going to click on, I don't know, I4. Click that. And we're going to build up our first pivot table. So think for revenue, there's going to be some things we have to look at here, right? There's going to be 3 columns here that we need to use to create our pivot table. Which one of the 4 here do we not need? Account name, month, amount, quarter. Which one of these 4 do we not need to make up this table? Column A, B, C, or D. Which one do we not need? 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and I'll just go to so we don't need account name, right? All we need to know. Actually, we don't need most of this, right? All we need to know is how much. Oh no, I forgot. Oh, I forgot my thing shut off. I forgot to add this part in. Oh boy, sorry. Let me add this part in here. Revenue type. Oh boy, I forgot. This is where it's come. This is what's important. There we go. Revenue type, bookings, renewals, renewals. Okay, now I'm gonna be all good. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, that's gonna be what I was gonna say. Let me get rid of this really quick. Existing I3. Okay, so now we have to. So this is what we need now. We only need 2 of the. Actually, we only need 3. Okay. We need to know there's revenue types, right? There's bookings and renewals. So we need to know for each one, how much do we make each quarter? Each one specifically, right? So thinking about how this is set up, right? We have our rows, columns, and values. So I'm thinking I want the revenue types here in my rows, and I want the chords going across. Now, why do you think it's going to look something like this? Why do you think let's make this good old counting. Why do you think I want to put the quarters across and not vertical? Why do you think I'm putting it this way and not using column I to show the Q1, Q2, and whatnot? Why do you think I want to keep it right like this? There's not one right answer. There's wrong answers, but there's not just one right. But why am I setting up my pivot table this way and not the other way? Exactly. Yep, to match it. Exactly. It would be very simple to match it. Exactly. So then whenever we want to do a reference from the dashboard sheet to this, very, very, very simple to do. Okay? So this is what it should look like for your table. And like I said, make sure that because on this document, column E was not on it. So all you have to do is, if you did not do that, you can rewatch the previous video, or all you have to do is type in the first 4 cells. You go bookings, renewals, double click. It'll apply the pattern all the way down. But that's what we have for this one. So we're all done with revenue. We can now move on to churn, which this one is significantly easier. Control A, Control T. And also what's good too is if you want to name your tables, you can name them. Instead of going table 2, table 3, 4, 5, all that, you can give them a name. Insert a pivot table. Existing, pick whatever one you want, doesn't matter. Okay, now for this one, it's a little bit easier. Churn, it's only one category, just one. There's not different types of churn. We're not really diving too much into that. We just want to know how much money we lost from companies not renewing their contract with us, right? So that could be another way of analysis, right? If we look, let's say eventually you show this to someone with churn, it might be like, okay, so we know how much we lost. You could then calculate how much % of people renewed, right? So exactly one thing, like, oh, like we're not going to do that now. I have another project in mind for that where it's a little more in depth. But that could be one thing to show, like, okay, if we're renewing at 90%, that's amazing. But if we're renewing at 50%, then what's going on? Like, what are we doing wrong? But for this, we're just trying to figure out the exact amount we're losing each quarter. That's it. We're not going to dive too much into this. So all I'm going to do for this one is put in quarter in columns and then amount in values. It's going to look a little ugly, but it don't matter. It's everything that we need right there. And also, I feel like when you're dealing with money this large, you don't need to have the cents on there. If it's like 50, 40, 30, it's not going to make the largest of difference, especially when you're dealing with numbers that are in the hundreds of thousands or a million. So I like to just get rid of them. They don't really add too much value to it. But that's it for churn. That's it. I mean, that's just one category, and that's it. We're all good there. And then for expenses, this one's going to get a little interesting here. Control A to select everything. Control T, make it a table. Always just good to put your information in tables. Insert pivot table. Existing. Click anywhere you want. Go a little lower. So this one's a little bit interesting. There's a few more different variables here. So we have expense type, which is like the exact type of expense it was. So rent, renting the office space for the company, utilities for that office, internet and phone. Making table. Yep, pivot table. Yep, exactly. Pivot table for each. Because it'll be one, we keep our information organized. So we know exactly that we're not going to be making... We don't want to really be combining this too much. Let's keep it separate. Let's treat it like a database in a way. It'll be much easier for us to go back in case you were to make a mistake. Much easier to do it this way instead of trying to do anything crazy and pulling a bunch of things together. So with this, we have a couple different things, right? We have different types of expense. Internet, phone, the insurance, different loans we took out. Salaries, that's how much we're paying our employees. Benefits that they're receiving, retirement, all that stuff. So those are the types, but then there's a type of category. So there's a fixed one and variable. Fixed is, of course, stuff that is basically like in a way like mandatory. It's like things that usually are set by the business that they have to do, right? Like gotta pay, gotta take care of your loans, your insurance, internet, rent. And variable are things that just completely can change month by month. Retirement, right? Let's say your company decides to either increase or decrease retirement percent matches. Supplies could change all the time. The travel. So we want to make sure for each quarter, we have to look at two things. The categories itself, and then the type of expense within it. So for this one, we want to start off with the category in rows. And then within those expense categories, we're going to look at the type. So we'll put that also in rows. Should look like something like this. Almost like a subcategory that's underneath the main one. So we have all that, and then let's just apply the quarter to columns and then amount in values. So we have that, and that looks all good. And I swear, ever since what, this is a different Excel version than the one I was just using before, but whatever. So we have this all set up, and there's just one thing I want to fix here, though. And it's all up to, like I said, it's all opinion based here. With how this is organized, how all of this is set up, all of these labels right here are going right here. Okay? Now, when it comes to expenses, this is currently in alphabetical order within each of these subsections, right? Going from I to U and B to T. Should we make any changes to this pivot table? In your honest opinion, can we use this right away? Or do you think that there's a better way that we could create this to ensure the simplicity for our dashboard? What do you think? Is it okay? It's up to you guys. If you think it's all good, we could move on. Or if we want to rearrange some things or whatnot, we could do that too. But I want to kind of hear from you all if you see something that we should change, or if we're all good to go and we can move on to our dashboard. I'll give you guys a little bit to look at it. Like I said, this is all opinion based. Whatever you see, if you don't see anything, that's one thing. If you do, ascending, okay. So ascending. So okay, now sure, ascending. So if you want to do ascending order, now ascending order, I mean like by the values, right? Like by the you want to going ascending. Okay, so let's go sort ascending by the sum. That's what we see. Ascending. Let's do this instead. Let's go descending. What am I doing here? Sort category. Second, value-wise. Yes, that'd be the value, exactly. So let me see. That. What the heck's going on? You can move it. Now, category is needed because we are going to be looking. We want to make sure we fully understand the. What was it? Like what goes into each category. So yeah, we want to keep those because we're going to put that on our dashboard to be all set and good to go. Oh yeah, category. There we go. What is going on? What am I doing wrong here? Yeah, so type. There you go. Okay, yeah, I'm an idiot. So now it's all set up. This is the way I would do it. Starting to get bad weather again. Hopefully it doesn't go out. Is I want to go from highest to lowest in each. I kind of want to show it from highest to low. So for the fixed one, we want to really look at salaries because we can see salaries are drawing most of the money in there. And the same thing for benefits. Benefits seem to be the biggest one for variables. So that's kind of what's be driving it the most. So I like to sort them in that way just so we can understand what's drawing most of it and what's not. That's the way I like to do it. I like to go from highest to lowest just so we know what's affecting each in there. So okay. You guys ready to do the dashboard? Like I said, if you were doing this on your own without me like taking my time doing all this stuff, this could take 20, 25 minutes to do. This wouldn't take too long. But we need to add in our headers in our dashboard. So we're going to be going a little bit back and forth. If you have any questions when we do this, definitely stop and let me know any questions. So for this one is going to be bookings. So we just copy that. And let's just paste that as a value to keep the formatting all correct. And then let's take renewals, copy that, paste that as a value there, keep that in line. So we're all good with there for bookings and renewals right here. This next one, we have to make up our own since we don't have one. Could we just type right here? I mean, if you wanted to, revenue churn. Not capital H. There you go. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, pivot tail. I'm an idiot. So just type in revenue churn here. Revenue. I keep doing capital H. Revenue churn. So this is basically what it's doing initially. We're gonna be pulling in the bookings number, how many renewals, how much money we lost per month from people not subscribing into our program, and then for here, it's going to be our I'm sorry, wait, not this. Total revenue, down here, revenue churn. This is why I like to have the borders. The borders help me like stay organized, and especially when you start making reports your way, this is just trying to influence you on my way of doing some reports like this. I always recommend to people to take this and see what they like, what they don't like, make changes however you go, right? So it's showing bookings, renewals, total revenue, which will be these two added, revenue churn, and then right here will be gross profit. So this is how much money we're making before we take out any more expenses. And then here will be gross margin, which always should be italicized and not bolded. That should be all set up there. I want to make sure that everyone has this set and ready to go. I can't zoom in anymore, unfortunately, on this because I don't want my screen getting cut off. So I'm sorry if it doesn't look as clear. But does anyone have any questions on these? Is everyone okay with these right now? I want to make sure that before I keep going back and forth that we're all good. Anyone have any questions on these or anything like that? Refresh this. Cool. All good? Okay, cool. So now we have to pull in this information. And actually what we do too is actually let's color these in here. Let's take description. I like to go lighter colors personally. I kind of like to go lighter. It's a little bit easier on the eyes. More people could see and understand it. I like to kind of go like a light blue, light gray. You can do a light. Anything right here is going to be like your best friend with this stuff. Anything like, because when you start getting too dark, it could get a little too harsh on the eyes. It doesn't, not really, depends. It depends on it. But I like to kind of go a little light with the colors to make it a little easier to follow along. But I put the colors there. Okay, so we're all good with that. So let's go to bookings. Now, what we're going to do for this, I want to make this super easy. Super, super easy to do. All I'm going to do is, let's say I want to pull it right in from the pivot table. So let me go into here. I'm going to type in equals, go to revenue, and type in Q1 right there, right? So I have that number that I want, which, looking at it, yep, that's the number. And let's say I want to just drag it across, right? We see that for each one, it sticks precisely in that spot. Okay? That's something I don't want to do. Get pivot data is perfect if you want it to be one specific cell and that's it. It's perfect for that. But I want to do something that I could just apply it and go from there and not have to do anything crazy. So what I'm going to do is the following. I'm going to take all of this right here. I don't need grand total. I'm going to take this, copy. I'm going to paste this as a value. Now if you want to do a keyboard shortcut, Control-Alt-V-V. That's it. So we're good there. And then now, because it's pays as value and it's out of a pivot table, what I could do now is just go equals. Click in here, J13 revenue. Let's drag that thing across, and look at that. We're all done. We can do the same thing for renewals. Equals, go to renewals, J14, enter, and we're all done. Just like that. That's why it's important to format it correctly. If you format it a perfect way of how it matches with the, either if you're going by row or by column, best way to do that. This is mainly useful if you're doing a one-time report. Now, yeah, but you see how quick? I mean, I'm just saying, I could do it could be done in 4 seconds, right? You could do XLOOKUP. I mean, I could do that too. We could go do that as well. Let's go do XLOOKUP on that. Let's go. If you want to do XLOOKUP on amount of data that can update frequently, let's go to let's say this is all set up correctly. Let's see, this is where it could get a little dicey, but yeah, just one second. I'm going to show with the XLOOKUP. I want to make sure this can be applied easily. F4 to lock that in. And that should be good. Okay. Part the rest. That's right, yeah. Because I have to do F4 here. Good, yeah. So the other way too, yes, with the copy and paste, you would copy all of this right here, copy it, paste it out here, and then you could apply from there. But if you were going to do this in a way that you want this to be stuck to the pivot table in case changes were made, you can do an XLOOKUP here. With this XLOOKUP, it's basically saying, and with the $, that means it's a what was it? Absolute reference, meaning it will stick to exactly what you're trying to tell it to do. So in this case, it will always look up off B7, which is bookings. So it's saying, okay, we're going to look up bookings. Where is this bookings located? It's located right here in I4 to I6. And what are we trying to return? We're trying to return where it says bookings and Q1. So it would be right here, which ends up being at 6.4 million. And we apply it to the rest. This is how you do it with an XLOOKUP. But if it's a one-time report, you could just copy and paste right out from that table. Paste it where you want. Since it's a one-time report, it doesn't have to get updated. And then you just click in, make sure it works with the Q1, and then apply from there. Those are the 2 ways. So in your opinion, when I do the rest, when I do the churn, the expense and all that stuff, which one do you want me to do? Do you want me to do the XLOOKUP every time? Or do you want me to do the copy and paste option? I'll let the audience decide. We could do XLOOKUP each time, or we could do the copy and paste. It's whatever you want to do. It's one of those two. So I'll let you guys decide that. I'll let you guys decide that while I do this next part. XLOOKUP. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do it. It's just that I'll make sure I might move a little quickly with it, the sum ifs. So, okay, yeah, I mean, like I said, there's multiple different ways to do it, right? Multiple different ways. In my opinion, I just like doing the pivot tables. Like if I were to do this in real time, I like the pivot tables because everything you get nice and aligned, and I could just do a couple references and just apply, and be done with it. We could do a sum if too. I'll do a sum if after I do this. We'll do all 3. So we got the XLOOKUP, we got copy and paste, and then I'll do a sum ifs. So let me just do the total revenue, and all we're doing, remember that, is just adding up these 2 right here. We could pull it in from the other one, but I just want to keep it consistent here. And it should be automatically bolded because when we're at the end, we'll do our formatting and everything. So like I said, total revenue is just adding in our bookings and renewals into this one right here. and revenue churn. So what we're going to be doing for this one is we'll do a sum if. Sum if for this one is the range. So with this one, the range is basically our criteria. Like, what are we specifically trying to find? The range for this one is coming from, is going to be Q1, coming from here. So that will be column D. The criteria is going to be, I want to apply this and drag across without manually typing. Go back to dashboard. The criteria is going to be D5, and some range would be column C. There we go. So with this now set up, you can do the sum if right here. It's basically just like I said, asking. Now sum if, it works with just one criteria. If you have multiple, which in this one would be multiple because you're looking at bookings and quarter. This one is just one specific spot. So with sum if, it's a little bit easier. So for this one, it's just asking the range that you're trying to find. It's a little bit, what I don't get about sum if is that it's some ifs, it immediately asks you for the sum range, but sum if, it asks it at the end. I hate it. I don't know. I don't like that at all. Doesn't really matter. I don't get it. But with this, it's really asking, okay, in the beginning, the range that you're trying to look up off of, which is Q1, where is that located? It's located on column D on the churn. And then in here, what are we looking at? You could type in Q1 in quotes if you want to do that, but I want to make sure I can just take this and drag it. So I just clicked in right here, which is D5, and it should always add in column C. And let me drag this across. And we see we have an issue here. And like, oh no, what happened? Well, we see each time it moves with the cells. So it moves to the right each time. Now it's okay with the E5. That's fine. However, we always need to look up column D and column C. So going after column D here, F4, F4, enter. And now we're all good. Exactly, yep. Exactly. So that's it. So that's always good with that. So make sure, like, I always like to set things up. So I love to just apply once, drag, or click down, whatever. I like to do something I can just apply it absolute if I have to, and I can just apply it here and there. Just to make it a lot easier. So those are like the three ways, the sum if function, the copy paste, X lookup off the pivot. Obviously, the pivot one, that is, make sure, as long as you're looking up the right thing, like your numbers will always be correct because it's based off the pivot table. Sum if, you just have to make sure you are looking at the right, I mean, it might come back as an error, but you got to make sure you're perfectly correct with the criteria you put in. And if you're doing copy and paste, just know that that's a one-time thing, right? Like if you're doing it just one time, okay. But that, of course, could lead to issues if you aren't being smart about it. So these are like the three ways. There's even more ways you can do it too. You can do index match if you look up two if you want to do it. But these are like the top three ways that you could easily do this. So gross profit, it's just taking the revenue minus the churn. Go, apply it across. We're all good there. And then the gross margin is just showing the difference between the profit and the revenue. So we're going to do equals profit divided by the revenue. Enter. It should already be formatted into a percentage. That's also italicized and rounded to nearest whole number for the percentage. Whew. How are you feeling so far? Oh, I got to stretch. I know I might move a little quick with some ways, but like I said, if you were to do this on your own and you did it your way, there's a bunch of this you could just kind of go pretty quick with it, right? So I think the biggest thing for this as well is like for anyone doing anything with Excel, just as Jeff said, that Jeff really likes using sum ifs. Me, I like to always do things off a lookup if I could. If not, I do sum ifs all day as well. All right. It's whatever works best for you. It's a mix of what works best for you and also what's most efficient. Doing anything within a sum if or XLOOKUP is most efficient because you're either using a pivot table or using a formula that you could easily replicate over and over again. Issue is if you do something like this where you're doing a lot of the, let's say, copy and pasting, right? That's what you got to be careful of. But of course, with this one, it's a little bit easier because you're not working with too complex data. But you want to create good practice. But also, in case let's say someone was to open up this workbook, and they're like, okay, renewals, J14, revenue, let's go to that. And yet they have to look, where is it? And they're like, oh, it's just, if I just literally click, backspace, it's gone. And it's, but you might not know where it came from. But if it's somewhere within a pivot table, or if you're using sum if, it's much easier to go back and understand what has to be done. Or let's say it has to get updated. Let's say you do a formula that has to be updated each month or each quarter or something like that. Using a formula or something within a pivot table with XLOOKUP is by far the most efficient. So let's go to expenses here. And I'm going to take all of this. I'm going to copy that. Let's see what it looks like when I put it. Oh, never mind. I put a space between. Let's take the fixed. Go to the first one. Control Alt V. See what happens. There we go. Perfect. And then do variable. Control C. Go down here. Control Alt V. Perfect. Done. And then this one will be do operating expenses, and then net profit is how much we're going to completely end off with. So so same thing. And we also could, since it's format same, we could just copy and paste it from the pivot table too. However, I like to have something that can be referenced with a formula or something. I don't like just copying and pasting right into something like this. So let's go ahead and let's go with let's do some sum ifs. I think let's go sum ifs here. Sum ifs. So we're going for sum ifs. It's fixed. We'll do sum if here. So if it's fixed, the sum range will be column C. What we want to look up first is that for this one, actually, we don't need to do anything crazy. We could just go ahead and go do the expense type, right? Like we don't have to do, what was it? We don't have to do multiple different criteria for this one. So we could just go into criteria 1, which is going to be found in column A. And then the criteria, let's go back to the dashboard. Criteria is going to be salaries. Close it up. Good. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, I'm an idiot. I have to do 2 criteria. I'm an idiot. We have to do also by quarter too. So criteria range 2. We have to go to quarters there. Dashboard. Q1. So all together, using sum ifs, right? We have 2 different categories to look at. Thanks for coming, Jeff. I really appreciate it. Using sum ifs for this one, there's basically sum ifs is great if you have 2 different criteria you have to look at. The first one is going to be looking at the first one. The first one we did here is we had to look up based off the description, which is salaries. Salaries is found in what was it? Oh no. There you go. Salaries is found in well, actually, where we're trying to sum, what are we trying to add up? It's found in column C. First criteria, we need to find the exact expense type. This one is going to be found in column A. What is that type? Click enter so I don't mess with this. That type is salaries. And okay, the other one is we also need to make sure it's in Q1. As you saw before, let me cut that out and show. If I end it off right here, I get 35 million. That would be right if that was the complete total for salaries. But like I said, I need to split up by quarter. Comma, Control V, put that back. Now if I do this, let's say I have to go F4, at the end F4, F4, and I have to do 19 as well. Yep, F4. This is where it gets annoying, but if we want to do it, this is how we do it this way. And that's how we get our sumness for each one. And yeah, thanks, Michael. I really appreciate it. I wish that weather wasn't bad, so we could have done one continuous video, but I guess this will have to do. But the big thing with the absolute values is making sure that we don't have anything moving, okay? Because I like to set up ways that we don't have to type it in 30, 40 times. We could do it 2 or 3 times, make sure that these columns do not move, and then we're fine. The only thing that should move is the quarter, because with that being, that's coming in from D5, that's coming from E5, F5, G5. That's fine for that to move. We don't want anything else. Because if we take away dashboard B19, which is here, then it'll say B20, B whatever, or it'll go C19 and D19. That's going to mess it up. So what we can do now is I'm going to apply some ifs to the rest of fixed, and then I'm going to go back and do XLOOKUP for variable. So I'm going to just pull this all the way down, and it's going to be all messed up. That's fine, because it's always going to be picking up from a certain number. So we want to change, what was it? This is going to be D5. And for this one, all we're going to have to change here is change this to B20. Yes, sir. All done. Drag it across. Yep. All done. And you see what I'm doing here is I'm changing this to each one. That's going to be B21 now. This will go 5. We're done. Apply that there. And it's just rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. This is the great thing about setting up your formulas correctly, just so they can be done precisely. And even if you wanted to do with this, you could put absolute one here too, but at this rate I'm just going to keep it going because I don't want to waste too much more of your time, especially with the power outage that happened. But just applying this there. Last one. This is 24, and then this is 5. Perfect. Add in a sum. Let's add up all of our information here. Enter, and look at that. We are all done with that. That is why it's so important to set up your formulas so they can be repeated or changed very simply. Because of how that all was set up, we didn't even need that pivot table before, right? We're going to need it for the variable one because I want to show you how to do the XLOOKUP, but this is also just showing multiple ways to do this. With that sum ifs, we set this up perfectly, so we made sure that certain columns would not move. We don't need to change those columns ever for this. However, the only thing that needs to change is our reference for each one. This is going off B19, B20, B21, 22, and stuff like that. That's why it's so important to set up the right way, just so we could replicate it and just be done with it. And if I did this in real time without taking my time, make sure I'm explaining everything, I could have had that done in like 30 seconds, right? That's why it's so important to make sure your things are set up properly. So does anyone have any questions on some ifs at all? Because I know I didn't plan on showing that. However, that was definitely a good thing brought up by Jeff. So does anyone have any questions on some ifs or some if or anything like that with like the syntax or anything to do with absolute references? Does anyone have any questions on stuff like that at all that I can help out with? Cool. Okay. Like I said, if anything comes up, feel free to ask along to make sure. So now for, I mean, look, like I've been working in Excel professionally like this for I don't know, 5 years now, right? It's just the best way, the thing I'll recommend, most advice I'll say, I keep learning every single day, and a lot of times from others, whether I'm at work or if I see something online, something I just want to put into my work. Everything I do keeps changing. It keeps improving in a way because I'm always looking to get better. So it's okay if you feel at times like overwhelmed with something like this, or you're not getting something. It will take time, and it's okay. It'll take time, and that said, also with this as well, dashboards, reports are also subjective. The way I do it might not be the way you want to do it, or you don't see it the same way, and that's completely fine. At the end of the day, we just need to, if we're putting this in a situation, we need to present this to our stakeholder. That's it. We need to present this in a way that they can understand it, pull insights, and ask questions. That's it. However we get it done, it doesn't matter. So if you put something together, it's a little bit different. Coloring, the font, the way it's organized, that's fine. Whatever works for you and how you see it, that's how I always recommend. I'm here to just show how I see things, in my opinion. That's it, right? And help answer any questions that come up. So let's go ahead and use an XLOOKUP for the variable part. So for variable, we're going to look up benefits that are based in Q1. Do XLOOKUP here. I'll do an XLOOKUP and a VLOOKUP too. I'll do that. XLOOKUP, it's going to be benefits. Where is benefits located? It is located right here. Let's make sure I F4 to lock that in. And the return is going to be based off right here. Yeah. That should be good. Yeah, let me double check that. Okay, let me apply it to the rest. I'll have to actually lock this in as well. Let me apply it. Did that not go with the full thing? F4. Let me try this again really quick. Okay, now I'm good. So let me explain this one really quick. Yep, we're all good. So with this one, with the XLOOKUP, what I did for this is same thing. Is I'm like, okay, I need to find benefits in Q1. Benefits is locked into B27 right here. So whenever I drag it across, it'll stay in B27. Where is it located? It's located in the expenses from I-17 to I-20, which is right here. Oh, sorry, not right here. Right here, where benefits is located. And the return amount is, okay, what we're trying to find. It's from J17 to J20, which is right here. And I did not absolute reference this, so I could drag it across because of how this is set up, going left to right. I do the same thing. So when I'm here, it's K17 to K20, L17 to L20, and so forth. So that's one way of doing the XLOOKUP. And then let me just apply it. I'll do it for retirement, and then I'll do VLOOKUP for supplies and travel. So we go here. And this will have to put back to what it was before. And the cell will change from B27 to 28. Enter, and there we go. We got retirement. Drag across. So let's double check. And yep, all good. That's why, like I said, once again, it's important to make sure your formula, just like the sum ifs, to make sure XLOOKUP is set the same exact way. Now, let's say you want to use a VLOOKUP. Let's say you don't have XLOOKUP at your disposal. We could definitely see what we could do here. It's been a little bit since I've done some VLOOKUPs, but we'll see. So lookup value, it's going to be supplies. F4 that. Table array. The table array is going to be... Let's make up a little table here. So hey, this is live. Hey, what's up, Wilson? Table array will be right here. Keep that locked in. Let's keep it all locked in here. The column, this is why I hate VLOOKUP. I hate VLOOKUP. Column number we got is number 2. False. There we go. So we see with the VLOOKUP here, if you don't have the ability, if you were to copy and paste it, yeah, it's easier, right? However, if someone has a question about the numbers, and like, oh, how'd you come up with 105 for the rent? How'd you come up with the 8.7 million for fixed, right? If you just copy and paste that in there, you're going to have no immediate proof on how you came up with those numbers, right? But if you have at least the formulas there, you can see, like, okay, we found these numbers by doing this and doing that, right? That is the best way to do it. It's having at least a reference on, okay, how did we get this information in here? That's why it's always best. That's why I do one with some ifs, do an X lookup based off the pivot table, and do one with the V lookup. So yeah, it's always easy for that. But if you're doing some kind of report here and everything like that, you want to make sure that everything's being pulled in a certain way and not being hard-coded or anything like that. So with the VLOOKUP for this case, it's kind of very similar to the XLOOKUP. What was the lookup value? It was right here in B29. Where is this located in? We kind of made up our own little table here. In the expenses, we basically made up our little table right here. This is the reference we chose. And what it asks is the column number. What is the column number it's coming in from? Technically, in our little table we made here, it's in the second column because that's where Q1 is. And then false for it to be an exact match. So now if I were to drag this across, we get, let's see what we have here just to show what we have. So obviously that's not correct. And we got to see, okay, what went wrong here. We're looking, we see when we drag across that it all stays within the same column. So that column number has to change every single time. So this one would be column 3. This one would be column 4. And then column 5. So that's one big thing with the VLOOKUP. It's not as fully dynamic with the XLOOKUP. Just gotta make sure each time that the column number gets changed. And let me just drag this down, keep it moving. This will change to be 30. What's good about Excel too is that you can also look to see where it's referencing. You see clearly that we're on the right one. And we are all good here. Good. And then drag across, and let's just update each. We could just drag down, but whatever. We'll just go from here. Yeah, and Wilson, you're here because I lost power for a little bit, so I'm still doing this. I didn't plan. I had to kind of redo all my work again to get caught up, so it was and also I had issues getting the stream started. It was just a complete disaster, but you know what? We're here, and we're making the most out of it. So now we have everything we need here for this. Now let's just add up everything we need to get our total variable. Good. Oh, sorry. Let me add in expenses here too. Okay. So we got everything we need. Now all we have to do now is just add up our expenses here. Add that up. There we go. We're all good. Cool. Let's got that. Yeah, it was they told us that it was gonna be coming, but I thought it was gonna rain at more like now, like 8:30 my time. It came at like 7, way earlier than it should have, and I was like, just incredibly thrown off. So I was like, you know what? It's a good thing that things weren't working out in the beginning of my stream because it would have went away. It would have went off anyway. I said to my wife this morning, I'm like, do you think it's going to go off during my thing? And she's like, no, you'll be fine. I'm like, of course. Here we are. I try to come back doing live webinars and look what happens. So we got all that. Now we have to come up with our net profit here. So let's just go ahead and take our gross profit minus our operating expenses here to see how things come out. And there we go. That is our dashboard. We're going to take out the borders in a second, but that's our dashboard. We could bold this too if we want. Let's bold it, actually, italicize it, and let's make this a little bit larger. Good, that's good. So what we want to do is we're going to get rid of all of these. We'll start fresh. We'll start fresh here. I want to put borders on kind of like the more, what was it? Anything that's bolded. We're gonna put a top and bottom border on it. So to keep it, I'll use my mouse for all this to make sure we're doing everything correctly. So total revenue here, just taking this whole column, top, bottom. Move on to the next one, bottom, top. Next one, top, bottom, and bottom, top, top, bottom, bottom, top. Cool. And we could get rid of this. Get rid of this border too. So that's what it should look like for right now. That's what it should look like. I'll give you guys a second to make sure it looks like this and up to speed and whatnot. But yeah, so we have this all set and good to go. Does anyone have any questions about anything you see on here? Any questions about anything at all? Before we only got one more thing left to do. Let's make up our charts, but I want to make sure if anyone has any questions or anything like that, I'll answer them. All good? Okay. So I want to make two charts here. This one chart is going to basically show, is there a top bottom? Is there? Oh my gosh. See, I'm an idiot. Yeah. Wilson, I never claimed to be a smart person. I get the job done. I never claimed to be a smart person, but I get the job done. I appreciate it, though. So this top one, I want to show the comparison of the profit to operating expenses, because I want to show overall, we see a pattern here. Q1, we weren't profitable. But when we see in Q2, Q3, Q4, we start to. So I think that's something that we really should show. We should kind of show a trajectory of like, okay, where were we in each quarter? When did we become profitable? Because that's huge. For a company to then become profitable, that's significant. And I think it's going to be really important to show that as a chart. And then for here, we want to look at bookings versus renewals. Obviously, we have the numbers right here. But sometimes having a chart, a good little bar chart to show the comparison by quarter, it's probably all we need, right? So I want to create two charts. And I want to make this pretty short and sweet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these headers here. Go to chart data. Go in here. Control-Alt-V. Don't need to be perfect. Get rid of that. So we have... Oh, no. Didn't mean to do that. So we have everything we need here. So the first one's going to be bookings, renewals. We could just type it in here. We don't need to... Don't need to do anything crazy. Why is this getting all bumped out? So all we gotta do here is pull in the information we had. For this one, we don't do anything crazy for this. We have the information we need. We could just literally just go in here and just take this information. We even do, actually, I'm an idiot. We just even do it from here. What was it? Let's see. What would I recommend? me just take this. We could, yeah. I mean, we could do it because this one's pretty easy. We could just pull it off right here, just because it's just pretty short and easy. I mean, even if we click this right away, then now it's nice and easy. I just want to make sure I flip the what was it? I want to flip the create bar chart. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. Cool. I know. I think the whole what was it? The whole like storm thing. I had all this stuff all set up, and then I swear, just my mind just went flying somewhere else. So we got this. So for right now, we just cut this and bring it over for now. Oh, wait a second. Oh, this is where it went bad. Oh no. Because now we flipped it. Oh gosh. Okay, hold on now. Because we did an X lookup off of it and it ruined it. Okay, because we can't. Okay. Okay. Let me go back. Let me cut this. Go back. Paste it here for now. And I have to update these because these were coming in as they were being looked up based off that, and because we switched the rows and columns. All I'm going to do for this one is do a quick sum if. Quick sum if to pull in the bookings. I'm going to do some ifs. Some ifs. Some ifs. It's going to be coming from C. Criteria 1. Let's be bookings. Criteria 2. Column D. 5. Okay. Keep that. Keep that. Keep that. Okay. Okay, we're all good. So that's one thing to remember too. So if you do any lookup based off a pivot table, if you do a lookup based off a pivot table, if you start moving rows and columns around, or things are getting added a certain way, it can really throw things off. Okay, that's just one little simple thing right there. So if you do form like some ifs, though, it's probably a little bit better. So just one. That's a good thing to show it live, right? Good thing to show it live. So that's one issue with the pivot table, that you start moving things around, can really throw off your formulas you got going on over here. But so we're all good with this. I'm going to take away this border here since. Oh, actually, wait, no, let's go down here. Get rid of the border. I'm going to put that for right there. And then for this one, it's going to be the gross profit and the expenses. Now, this one's a little bit different because we don't have the exact table here showing that off. So we just got to just piece this one together a little bit. So we got this. Let me just get rid of these and put gross profit, operating expenses, and then let me just take what we got here, just simply here, Control VV, take expenses, go here. Cool. So we've got this all set, and now we could just take all of this, insert a little chart. Perfect. Let's cut that. Put it right there. Take away the borders here. We don't need that. Cool. Okay. So we got our two charts right here. What I want to do for this one is let's put in the marker. Sorry, I'm going to do all these. Yep, marker, options, automatic. I just like to put it there so we know exactly what's going on. Automatic, good. Let's put this legend bottom. No. Right? No. Well, we're going to make this a little bit bigger. Bottom. God, it's so up. Gosh, let's see. I think I'm thinking bottom. Keep it consistent. Or right. You keep it. Let's just keep it there. Why not? One thing we probably should do is switch up the colors. So I think that the orange and blue can stay for one of them, but we got to switch it for the other, right? Because, for example, this is showing bookings versus renewals. This one's showing profit and expenses. Two totally different types of numbers. So we want to do for this one, we can leave orange and blue for this one and just show profit versus expenses. And just keep that there. Let's just bold that thing. Let's make that just... Yeah, that looks good. That's fine. And then for here... What do we want to do? What color should we do? What we got here? We do that now. The thing about this first one was we already had it set up in the pivot table, but we just moved it around to fit it. We had it all right here. The problem with the with right here is that we don't have anything in here that shows the exact operating expenses or profit margin. So that one, the gross profit. So we had to like mainly just make that really quick. Now, of course, you could do a calculation to get that number set up so you could have it set up through a formula. But for this, we could just go from there. Base specials, we're doing charts. No, so you don't want to copy and paste them as special values in the dashboard. That's not that we don't want to hard code them into the dashboard. These need to be pulled in from somewhere. We do not want to just paste anything into here. That's just not even my opinion. That's just almost a borderline fact with that. Your question about should it be adjusted? Now, we could adjust it. However, if we put it down like 0, the chart's going to look absolutely... You're not really going to see the difference that much. So I actually think in this situation, it's okay. I usually don't start it at the 8.5. Right now, I'm actually okay with what it says. I'm okay with it. And I think for here, I'm going to leave it the way this is here, because if I start changing this, the difference, it's going to look too much of a difference. I think how this is set up, starting from 0 up to 9, that's fine with me too. But of course, it's up to however you think it looks to you, right? To me, this looks just fine to me, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. We want to clearly show Q2. That's where we start making our money. Because if it was going from 0 to 12 million, that line it would be so small. It would be so small. You would barely see it, right? And of course, it doesn't matter. Like, we see the numbers here. At the end of the day, this is what we care about. This is just to show visually we were way off in Q1. We started doing good, but then you clearly see it's not growing. It's kind of plateauing a little bit. So it might give a little heads up, like, yeah, we see the numbers here, but we could visually see it too that, okay, we finally were profitable, but we're not still making that same jump we need from Q1 to Q2. So we have to look into possibly why that happened, because we look at Q2, we made more money. Q2 we made more. We see we made a significant jump there, but then we didn't really make much at all from Q2 to Q4. So we need to, that'd be one thing to look into. Be like, okay, why did we not make that significant jump? Well, We can see here that we made much more. We got more renewals, but we see it's really inconsistent. It's super inconsistent one way or the other. We need to get to. We possibly need more data. We need more of as the time goes on, we'll get a better idea on how we could forecast for the future on what we need to do to become more profitable. But I think this is really helpful to show that difference way more than just going from 0 to 12 million. But that's a great, what was it? A great question asked though. That's very good. So let me hide that. What else do I want to do with this? What do I want to do? Do I want to shadow it? What do I want to do here? Size looks good. Yeah, shadow looks good. Let me add a title here. Let's call this bookings versus renewals. Bold that. Black it out. Good. And let me do a certain fill here. Let's switch up the colors here. We could choose. You could choose whatever. So a stacked one? Anything stacked? Let's take a look. Let's go stacked. I'm trying to think. What a stacked one. Cause I don't know. I mean, it's funny. Like I'm iffy. I used to use a lot of the stacked bar charts, but I feel like more than like ever, I don't know, let me see. So we could do that. That looks pretty good, actually. Looks pretty good. Stacked? You guys like stacked? Okay. We'll go stacked. Okay. I like it. I mess with it. Cool. Yeah, we'll do stacked then. Now that I think about it, I think stacked is by far the best choice. So, why do you think, in your opinion, since we're all starting to think the same thing, why do you think that this is probably better than this? Like, why do you probably think that, since we're all kind of like seeing the same thing here, why do you think that the stacked is probably a little bit better than the side by side? So easier to look at, how long the image contribution. So yes, I think that at the end of the, sorry, I'll be a little closer. At the end of the day, everything we need is here at the end of the day, right? Everything we need to know is right here. The total revenue came in right here, right? Everything we need is here. At the end of the day, no matter what this shows, this is what is important, right? The numbers itself. However, when looking at just the numbers itself and looking at this, we have to almost envision, okay, how much percent of this was a part of bookings? How much was this? When you get this quick visual, you clearly can see right away that, yes, we were making more money. It's a slight, and you could see it, of course, as we have our numbers here. We're making more each, right? But we clearly see Q2 and Q4, a significant part of it was because of renewals. And we also see in Q1 and Q3, a significant part was because of bookings. This is really good for people who need to get, you could see that in 2 seconds. It's really quick and easy. You could tell very well with that, right? I'm going to switch up the colors actually here. Let's go. Ooh, no, I don't like that. No, I don't like that either. What color should we do? What color should we do? We got two. We got to pick two. What colors should we choose for this? Do whatever colors you guys pick. I'll do it. We need two different ones. Also, we have orange and blue up top. We can't use that. So we got to pick two different ones. So whatever two colors we should do, and I'll change it to the chart. Yeah, green. Okay, so I'll do green. So I got green right there. I just need one more color. Hopefully it's not like yellow or something like that. But give me one more color so I'll change renewals for that. Anything you see. Green. I mean, probably like. Yes. I don't want. If you're asking, purple, go a little darker. Okay. Might be a little dark. But you get the point. You guys could determine whichever one you feel is best. But the thing is, remember, like, I want the colors to be. These two are now. If they were the same values, we should keep the same color. But because this is involving bookings and revenues, and this is profit and expenses, they all should have a different color because they all have a different purpose and meaning. We don't want to mix the colors so they're exactly the same. We want to make sure there's a clear difference between the two, for sure. I definitely got to open up my color palette here to get something a little bit better. Yeah, no, never mind. I'll just what I have before, like a purple. But it's like I'll leave it like that. I'll leave it. So yeah, that's just like I said. As long as you pick colors, I like to when I do the charts get colors a little bit more bold. And then for anything over here, I like to keep it a little more on the lighter side. That's just I don't know how I see it. I'm definitely not good with art stuff or anything like that, but for me, I really want things to stand out from a visual point of view. So you can see like the green and purple. Like, would that probably stay out? Probably not. I probably would, if I'm working with a company that has certain color, like my company has, company colors, stuff like that. I'll keep it aligned to that. But besides that, I want to make sure each metric that's being shown by a chart has its own color. That would make everything so you're not confused. When you look to the side, you see purple, that means renewals. Green is bookings. Blue, profit. Orange, expenses. This goes in line if you also have dashboards in general. If you're doing a dashboard in Power BI or Tableau and you have multiple visuals to show off, keep that in mind too. You want each metric to have a certain one. Now, if you also do a different one, we're like, okay, let's say I want to show off profit by, let's say, what was it? What do you do for like one chart? Let's say you want to show, what was it? Like a bunch of different categories, and you want to show, like, for example, darker blue means they made more money. Lighter blue means they made less. That's one example too. That you don't have to have each one has its own color. But if you do something like this, it's always good to have it being specific to a certain metric so you don't get things confused. Because at the end of the day, you're not the one that matters most. It's going to your stakeholder or manager or whoever. Like, they're the ones that care about the most. So making sure that they understand it is much more important than you understanding it. So there you go. That is the report. And like I said, if I, was doing this without, taking my time and talking through each little step, like in reality, like I did this on my own the other day just to make sure I, made sure everything was in the right spot and everything. This could take on your own like 15, 20 minutes or something like that. It's 15, 20 minutes. But like I said, I think that this is something that you could definitely add more to this. Now, I wouldn't add more, like a ton more. If there's a way, I don't really think there's too much more that really could be added to this. I think it's pretty straightforward to the point. But this is something that if you were to put in your portfolio, I think this is something that's a little more realistic, something that definitely is a little bit better than, making something that shouldn't be done in Excel. This is a type of project that should 100% be done in Excel. Get to show just how the business is performing, starting from the revenue and how much we started losing through churn and expenses, and gets to show some quick visuals on the side just to get your point across and whatnot. So yeah, that's the report. That's all good to go. And like I said, what I can do too is let me save this really quick. I'll also link this somewhere as well, that if you just want to download it as it is, you can take it, download it. I'll also make sure to attach the other video that I had to this before everything got shut down by the storm, to make sure in case you had questions about anything we did before or anything like that. Double underline the net profit line. Double underline, you want me to double it? Yeah, probably so I could stand it out a little bit more. Yeah, we'll go with that. Good call. So yeah, like I said, there's definitely something that would just be something a little bit more realistic. And of course, you could take this and run with it. You want to look into this more. You could also even like add more data to this too. If you want to add in more different types of categories or different more accounts, you could do whatever you want with it. But there's a good baseline to start, and I really think that, in my opinion, if someone were to show this to me, I would think that they know what they're doing, right? There's nothing that's there's not something that should be taking days to do or anything like that. But it's simple, to the point. How do we perform? Show us some visuals that are actually relevant to the work we did and stuff like that. One thing we done too is like a waterfall chart could be a good one. If you're doing like, let's say like a monthly one or quarter, you see like, where we started, how do we lose money and stuff like that. Waterfall could be good too. But yeah, that is the report. Like if anyone has any questions about the report itself, any data questions or just anything to do with analytics, anything in general, this is kind of like usually, obviously there would have been more people, I think, getting shut off or whatnot, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask anything in the chat. I'm happy to just be open floor for Q&As about the report or anything to do with anything data related. So I'll leave it open for a little bit in case anyone has any questions or anything like that. Share report. Yes, I will. I'm trying to think how I'm going to do it. I'm probably going to, I'll save it, and then I will, I'll save it, and then I'll put it on my GitHub again, so people just go in there and download it themselves if they want it. But that would be, yeah, that's how I'll do it. I'll put it on my GitHub. I'll put the link. I'll do it on my. I'll put it on the LinkedIn post I put out a few hours ago about this. So I'll put the link on there for you guys to find it. Is it okay to add guided projects to the portfolio? I would say that there is no right or wrong answer. It's very opinion based. Something in my biased opinion, I try to say anything I do that I put on YouTube, I think could easily be put on portfolio. One, because I try to make it either realistic or unique. I think that's the biggest thing with the guided projects is if you start seeing, like I know, for example, when someone sends me a resume and they have the same guided projects that are on YouTube or in courses, like that is actually, to me, in my opinion, like it doesn't give me an idea on if they actually know what to do the job or not, right? If you do a guided project that's a little bit more not so popular, aka like my stuff, then people will not really know about it or anything like that. So that's one thing. But the big thing with the guided project is you gotta be able to explain it. You gotta be able to explain like the work you did, the problems you solved. So if you're just doing it to put it on there and move on from it, you're putting yourself in a bad spot because you're not gonna be able to back up the work you did. That's gonna look so suspicious when you interview. If they're like, "Hey, do you mind walking me through your quarterly business report project you made? I just found it to be really interesting," and you can't explain the bare minimum of about it and what went into it, they're going to know you're a fraud right away. So it's okay to put guided projects, but I really like to say if you could take a guided project and kind of switch some things around, that's your way of doing it. I think that's the best thing to do. That's why if you were to take something like this and maybe switch some things around. Like I didn't do anything with the charts. I just posted it, put a title, that was it, right? I didn't do anything crazy with it. I think that if you could take it and make it your own, you'll know it better. You'll naturally be better with it. So it's okay to do it. However, I would also recommend not all of your portfolio is guided projects. Do some on your own, but it's okay to do a couple in the beginning. It's totally okay. That's why I do these. I do these for a reason. So you can get in here, do some work, take it, make it your own. That's why I do it. So that's a great question. Is this similar to a lot of things you currently do at work? Yes and no. I wouldn't say no, this is completely different. A lot of the work I do in my job is a ton of corporate reporting. So yes, a lot of doing every quarter. Basically my role is one of the many different things I have is I have to basically put together the revenue operations perspective of our company for each quarter that gets presented to our top leaders. I have to put all that together, create the data points, the charts, the visuals, and update that into a slide presentation, right? So that's one thing. It's a lot of just corporate reporting. I'm also helping a lot with cleaning up our sales pipeline, trying to realign our data to make sure we understand how much future pipeline we have for our company. Also trying to create different types of reports for our account executives so they could have more information about prospective clients. So a lot of the work I do is based off how we're performing just as a company from a revenue perspective and just trying to really make suggestions on how we could be better with our forecasting, how we could be better with finding future clients through data at the end of the day. So I have a lot on my plate. There's a lot of different things I'm doing, but I've learned just in the last month so much. And that's why I just want to get out here and just keep making these projects because I just have been exposed to so much in this past month. So much in this past month compared to the last 2 years, honestly. I think because I'm in a more like a startup, so I'm just exposed to so much. I've already been put on to so many projects last month. But it's just really rewarding and I'm learning so much with it compared to my other jobs. So this is similar where I am trying to figure out previous results, how do we perform, where were we losing money, how many of our previous... Now, I could have went way more in depth with this, but it would have taken me hours to put together a data set that would be realistic to what I do. But you get to show, for example, how many people were in our pipeline last year who actually bought us this year and stuff like that. So it's really just we're trying to better understand our previous efforts and predict our future. That's pretty much what we're trying to do because our company has grown so much in the last 2 or 3 years that we haven't really done anything that we're doing right now. So it's a lot of good things, but similar, but not completely spot on to what I do. It's loosely based, very loosely based on it. That's all you learn, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Is like when you get to the interviews. I know when I was at my last job at Cigna, I was on a handful of hiring teams, and I was the person that handled like the technical rounds for most of these roles. And I went to with my perspective was, when I would talk to someone in the technical round, I like looking at portfolios, and then some people care about them, some people don't. You run into someone that does like me, I'll ask about it. If I look at your portfolio and I see a project I've never seen before, and I ask you, I'll play, I'll do some research into it. I'll see what code, if you did something in SQL or something like that. I'll look at your code. If you made a dashboard, I'll look at your dashboard. But I'm going to ask questions about it. I'm going to ask questions in this, I see your quarterly business report, when you did this project, did you find anything interesting in it? Did you find did you make any recommendations in it for stakeholders, anything like that? And most of the time, I don't usually get a response, and I'm not trying to say it like I'm trying to be hard on people, but it's just, right away. I hate wasting time. I don't want to talk about a project that you don't. I want to know right away if you know it or not. So that'll set me up for the rest of the interview. So if you put it on your portfolio, you got to back it up. You got to be able to talk about it. Now, you might run a situation where they don't ask about it. Okay. But what if they do? What if they ask about it? You got to be prepared to talk about it and explain it. All your projects you have on there. Can't just be one or two. You got to be prepared for all of them. So, yes, be able to do it, replicate it, and do it better. Take this and do it better. I did this I could do this 15 minutes, but if I really put effort into it, this would be way better. Honestly, I'm trying, but this could look way, way better if I took time to sit back and be like, okay, how do I really want to if I'm going to send this off to someone, how do I really want this to look? That should be your perspective with this. How can I make this even better? That's how it always should be with anything that's guided. How can I take this and make it better? And yeah, guided projects, they kind of have to be, I wouldn't say have to be generic, but they need to fit most people and what they're looking for, right? Like if I do a project that's about healthcare that's extremely specific about my company, no one's going to understand what they're doing. Or they might know the calculations that go into it, but they're not going to know the concepts behind why we're doing this or why we're doing that. But doing this, I think most people understand revenue. Most people know expenses. People understand how churn works. So just those are more generic terms that people know. But it's okay, how can we take some more generic terms and make it into something a little bit better and not so bland and boring, right? So yeah, I think that's a really good point. Yeah, so really good points about that. Guide projects are great. I'm a huge fan of them. That's why I try to make them all the time on YouTube where I want to now. But yeah, take this, make it better, post it on LinkedIn. You can tag me on it. I love to see it. I love to see what you come up with. Or even if you do this, post this on LinkedIn too. And if you want to make this nice and easy, if you want to post it on LinkedIn, just what was it? What I like to do if I want to post Excel on LinkedIn, I'll take my snipping tool here and I'll make, I'll snip this out. Make this a little photo right here. That's what I like to do with, if I want to show anything off in Excel, this is a pretty quick and easy way to do it. If you just kind of use snipping tool, I'm using my PC. I'm not using my Mac, but you could just, snip it out, copy it, make it a photo, and post it on LinkedIn. Quick, easy way to do that. Are there any specific project topics? Well, that can be a very vague question, but for example, for me, I'm in healthcare, but there's a million different healthcare, concepts. There's I'm in mental health care. Before I was in the pharmacy benefits part. There's so many things. Something that's specific for me could be doing creating a dashboard of a certain calculation percentage to predict our sales pipeline. But that would not be that relevant for a lot of people. That wouldn't really work because not a lot of people would understand it, or like this isn't meant to be. Let me teach you the concepts of the data. It's more let me teach you how to make a project, right? So there's depending on the industry or domain too, leads to different specific topics. So healthcare has I'm not gonna list a million. You do one on an operation room. You could do one based off pharmacy benefits of a company. Do one based off something like this in the mental health care space. There's so many different types of topics you could do, but I also don't think that it needs to be super unique. Like it doesn't need to be something that's like never been done before. It just needs to make sure it looks like you did it. That you did it yourself. That it wasn't just copied and pasted from a YouTube video or something like that. Like I know the main ones I see, Alex the Analyst, anything from Break into Tech, that boot camp, some others. Like when I see them, I just have to ask more questions to make sure that the person understands the work they did. But if I see something that's a little different, I could bypass all that and get right into the good questions. So that's all it is. That's all. And so yeah, specific topics that will depend on the domain and industry you're looking for sure. Okay. Anyone have any other questions, like data related stuff, anything to do with this project, anything else I could try to help anyone out with while I'm still here? I will say that next Tuesday, July 2nd, I'll be doing another. I plan doing a webinar every week. I'll try to make sure I get on days that don't rain. But what was it? Next week I'll be doing it's more like a webinar, not so much a technical project, but webinar on doing a roadmap, breaking into data analytics. Those for people who don't have a data job yet or want to get into the industry. Just talking about some different topics, some things that come to mind, and try to answer any questions to do with that, because I know there's so many things that go into that process. But just that'll be more of like a webinar format of me talking, PowerPoint slides, stuff like that. So it'd be good also to come in and meet people who are also, trying to get into the analytics too. So I'll give another second to you. If no one has any other questions, I'll wrap up here. And also, if you signed up for this webinar through my website, I'll make sure I'll be doing a drawing for a free 45-minute call with me. I'll do a drawing. I'll post on LinkedIn tomorrow who the winner was. And let me see here. Yeah, I would post who the winner is tomorrow once I do the drawing. So if no one has any other questions, I'm going to log off here. So I really appreciate you guys coming back and come here to work on this report with me. I'm really sorry about my power going out before. I did not plan that at all. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I'll make sure to put timestamps in here so you know where to find the good stuff for this. And definitely feel free to tag me on LinkedIn if you ever make this. I'd love to support anything you guys put on there. So I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming by, and I'll see you around. I really appreciate it.